15 minutes late is on time. Welcome back to another episode of Nephilim Death Squad. I am David Lee Corbo, a.k.a. The Raven. That is TopLobsta, the father of disinformation, and we are coming at you live from the Standard Coffee Shop slash...
casino.
No, it's not a casino, slash NDS Studios.
What do you mean?
Well, all right, he's got 2 slot machines. Does that merit casino? I don't know if it does that. Don't reveal to people who's here. That was crazy. He wasn't ready for that. He wasn't even wearing a shirt.
Well, I mean, if these people could read, they could just see.
Oh, that's true. Well, before we get into who's not wearing a shirt on our show, a little bit of business up front. Don't forget, guys, this episode is going to go live exclusively to patreon.com/Nephilim Death Squad sometime around the 30-minute mark. If you want to be not a loser, then I recommend that's where you go. Sign up there, and you will, what is that? Oh. You're making an announcement to the people. Sorry, guys. What happened on Spotify? You'll gain early access to episodes, ad-free viewing and listening experiences, early access to Bohemian Grove tickets when they drop. Right now, we're looking at the first week of March, and our guest today hasn't missed one, and I anticipate he's going to be there at, what is this, Bohemian Grove 4 or 5? This is 4.
Technically, it's like
6.
3.
No, well, the first one was the official. That's what Sam Tripoli said.
No, you don't count that. That's a prequel, right?
Oh, like a appetizer. All right, fine, whatever.
We got Brad on the show today. Listen, we're just gonna sit here and ramble. Brad, what's going on, man? It's nice to have you in the shop IRL.
And the first man to sit between 2 new signs.
Yeah. Look at that.
Show. Look at how beautiful those signs are.
Clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right.
Oh, man, 100%, actually. That's the most accurate description. Before we get into today's show, Brad, let's talk about where everybody can find you and what it is that you do.
So my name is Brad. I'm the host of the Awaken podcast. I talk a little bit about it. Pretty much a lot of the same stuff you guys talk about. I get into some conspiracy, hidden history, paranormal. I like to try to explain things. I don't just like to just kind of regurgitate everything that people are talking about. I like to do really deep dives on subjects, and that's one of the subjects I'm going to talk about today is something that I've been kind of putting together since I started the show, which is my theory on ley lines, plasma portals, all this other stuff. This sort of connects everything in this thing where these demons are coming from, where these fallen angels are coming from, and it all connects to the 33rd parallel and the plasma portal. So this is kind of a working theory, but I appreciate you guys letting me come on and share my ideas about this because this is completely new. I did talk about it with PJ Williams on Dark Ocean, but after we talked about it, I was like, all right, I gotta work out what I'm trying to say here because I actually said it on Bohemian Grove when I was up on stage because...
in the very limited time that you had on the conspiracy roundtable.
I remember. They got you on the last 5 minutes.
It was like 5 minutes in. They're like, tell us about the plasma.
Yeah. Well, I said something then. I said, we are matter and they are antimatter. And a lot of people came up to me afterwards and was like, I like that. Wherever you were going with that, I wish we could hear more.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where, so this is actually perfect that you guys invited me on the show today. I'm happy to drive 7 hours to be here with you guys, man.
Dude, I want to thank you for making the trek down. You know why? Because it's just like, number one, like I said, you've been there forever, Bohemian Grove, early friend of the show, and it's always so much better to like meet IRL. Like to do this in real life is so much better than the kind of the clunky, remote virtual thing that we do. And so any opportunity that we have to have somebody in studio is always one that we should be taking. But so the Awaken podcast, right? That's where everybody can find you. You can find you on YouTube.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Yep. So one of the things that you talked about before when we were talking on Instagram, inviting you on the show, you said you dropped into this mix everything that you just mentioned and aliens, which I think is
demons.
It's definitely demons, but it's our bread and butter, and it's one of the more important topics, and it's something that we love to talk about. And I think right now it's probably a really important conversation. It's always an important conversation to have, but given I don't know if your social media algorithm is just a 3-eye atlas bukkake, but mine is, and it's like I see a lot of people gearing up for something. And I don't know if this is going to be the big something. We always get that false alarm rang. This is going to be the something. That's going to be the something. And the big something is this fake alien invasion. But I just had a couple of people in here the other day, and I was telling them that we have been programmed to analyze these things and come to a conclusion that's inorganic. That conclusion being these guys are from space. These guys are a hyper-advanced civilization. And what brings us to that conclusion is years and years, generations and generations of propaganda from Hollywood that's been laying the groundwork, being like these things that people are having encounters with. We'll tell you what they are. There are highly advanced space homies. That whole narrative. You get Star Wars. You get the explosion of sci-fi. Now we have an opinion of what these things are. It's the wrong opinion. So conversations like these and wherever this goes today, very important to be having right now, because I just kind of feel like they're priming us for something, some great big fake revelation surrounding them.
I don't disagree with that. I actually, that's kind of what I'm going to try to prove to a little bit as best as I can. I'm not a scientist. I failed physics in high school, but a lot of this stuff gets into physics and metaphysics and spirituality and all this other stuff. And I'm a Christian. Obviously, I got a cross around my neck. And so when people wrestle with, like, Christians, we believe in science and protons and neutrons and stuff like that. But science will take us all the way up to, for example, the Big Bang Theory, and they won't tell us, well, nothing happened before that. We were just nothing, and we came from nothing and all. And that theory doesn't make sense. I can't remember the comedian I saw. He had a joke about it. It's like, the idea that we came from nothing is ridiculous.
Yes.
So
well, that's a simple line of questions. You go like, what came before? They go, well, there's a big explosion. It was like, what came before that? We were like all superheated in a piece of matter that was the size of the head of a pin. That's where everything was super concentrated before the Big Bang. And you go, well, what happened before that? And they go, I don't know. What do you? So it's like, I don't know. I was saying this the other day. Science has a way of slapping a terminology on a thing, and then we, as the public, we sigh a breath of relief and go, "Oh, they got it figured out."
Yeah,
they labeled it the Big Bang. Oh, the Big Bang. Okay, so somebody knows what happened, right? But that's not the case. Sometimes it's just a label, and if you really press it, you're like, "These guys don't know shit."
They don't. That's the crazy part, and that's to me. So what I will do is I will look at the stuff that they have presented, and I'll try to find more logical things to fit into the Christian narrative, right? And so that's kind of what I did with my theory on what essentially I'll be talking about is at the beginning of the Big Bang, according to them, there was matter, and then there was antimatter, and then they kept annihilating each other, butting heads and just annihilating each other. If there was a billion particles of antimatter, there's a billion particles of matter. But somehow, one more particle gained in matter, which allowed it to continue on. And they say that they don't know what happened to antimatter. And so that's where I like to go down from. I like to start from there and go, okay, let's try to figure out this little path here. And this is why it connects to the plasma portals and all this other stuff that I've talked about. But essentially, what happens when antimatter and matter annihilate is antimatter goes away. Not really, because if you look at what makes up matter, it is quarks. The quarks make up the atoms. The quarks makes up neutrons, protons, and the leptons make up the electrons, and they all make up the atoms.
Wait. We got leptons now?
Yeah, leptons. Yeah, that
leptons,
makes up the
dog,
electrons.
when did we get leptons? Dude, that's what I'm talking about. They just be naming shit.
It just reminded me of, Matt, who is owner of the coffee shop here, but he loves a tohu abohu.
Oh, tohu abohu, baby.
So that's like the scripture here from Genesis 1, verse 2, when you're talking about the void and the darkness. So this is like the antimatter. And then God's face upon the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon it. So like this is the matter.
Yeah. Well, so we are the matter. We're the material, right? So the atoms make up molecules. I'm sorry, the atoms make up. The atoms make up the molecules. The molecules make up the matter that we exist in.
Is this where kind of like the 666 being the number of man, and then there's like 6 electrons, 6 protons, and 6 neutrons that make up a carbon atom, and we are made of carbon?
Right, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Huh. So essentially, man, that matter what is the definition of matter? Anything that has mass and takes up space.
Okay.
Well, what is mass? Nobody knows. What is gravity? Nobody knows.
When you look into it, it's like actually mostly empty space.
It's empty space.
Like, what?
Yeah.
What?
So
yeah, it's like protons and the neutrons that are flying around the nucleus, but they're just mostly empty.
Well, that's it. That's actually one of those school things where they're just you see them like flying around the
it looks like a little solar system or something like that.
Well, what's actually happened is it's the electron is flying like chaos. It's all over the place like a tornado.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's how chaotic reality is. Actually, it's non-linear. That means you can't predict what's going to happen next. That electron, you tell that electron to do something, it's going to do something next, right? Or you, however you, like every second is a new reality, essentially.
This is where you get the concept of like superpositions, right? Like the act of observing it determines where the electron is going to be, but until
like,
the observation comes in, it's everywhere.
Yeah, like a coin flip. When you flip a coin in the air, when it's in the air, it's in superposition, right?
Right.
You never know what's going to happen next. So that's the nonlinearity of it. It's chaotic. And
Man, I got to admit, I hate that. Like when they start talking about like Schrodinger's, I'm like I pretend to understand it, and then I kind of get like really suspicious. I'm like, quantum physicists, are you also pretending to understand this? Because I'm not smart, but I'm not completely brain dead. And if you can explain something to me well enough, I think I can grasp it, except for quantum physics. It doesn't matter who explains it to me. If it's, Neil deGrasse Tyson or Michio Kaku, I go, I don't understand what they're saying at all.
I don't either.
And I don't think they do.
We're talking about quantum physics or quantum computing now, right? This gets into that.
Well, so, I mean, just to be completely honest with you, I had to look up what's a proton, what's a neutron, what's an electron.
Me too. I would have to do that right now.
And then I'm literally doing that along the way. And so I'm relearning stuff that I should have learned, in fifth grade or whatever. But maybe it's a good thing that I'm too stupid, and I'm just kind of relearning things now.
Let me tell you, they're sending my son home with like some form of division where like I was a fabricator for a number of years. Like multiplication, addition, subtraction, and division are like fundamentals in being able to fabricate, right? And like, just take a length of steel and say this has to be divided into 4 equal segments. Well, then I have to be able... I'm looking at this kid's work and the way they've elongated the process. I'm like, I don't even... I went to him the other day. I said, hey, I don't know. That's the answer. He's 10. I go, I don't know what this is. So, yeah, I mean, if you really press me, I'd have to relearn most things.
Same here. My daughter did that the other day. She's like, can you help me with my grouping and stacking? And I'm like, I don't even know what the hell that is.
I'll punch you in the forehead.
I can put numbers on top of each other.
Go back home and rephrase that question.
I want you to think about what you just said to me.
But yeah, man, most of this stuff is like, if you think about like, okay, so like when matter and antimatter annihilate, when they used to annihilate, well, let's just say what happened to the antimatter? Well, the antimatter is almost like, popping a pimple or something, just kind of disperses.
Okay.
Right? And I think that the mass that makes up the matter is formerly antimatter. The antimatter has dispersed into a form of dark energy, and it exists just to create us, if that makes sense. Like it exists as if, like, you've seen I was gonna bring it today, but I was honestly afraid that it had like some kind of demons in it or something.
Oh no, what are we gonna bring, dude?
So I have a plasma ball, right? That I always, whenever I talk about plasma, I have one of those Spencers.
Oh,
plasma
you want the
balls.
one you put your hands on?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's the best way to look at this, is that if you turn on a plasma ball, inside of that plasma ball is all mostly empty space, and you see these purple tendrils, right? Mm-hmm. When you touch your finger to it, that purple tendril would be similar to like Earth. Like
okay.
Your thumb is Earth. You put your thumb on it, that's Earth. The middle ball would be like the sun, right? And that electrical current between them, that's essentially light. But all that dead space in there is what forms that electrical current. It's not the light that's forming that, it's the electrical current that's creating that light.
So that negative space is forming that pillar of light.
Yes.
So in other words, it's almost like an unseen hand that's forming it like clay, or maybe not like clay, but like it's concentrating it one way or another.
It definitely is concentrating it, and that's what I think. And the different names for it, because they confuse you with different names, right? They call it dark matter.
Yeah,
right?
I remember that. Yeah,
they call
that's
it the
huge.
bosons, the Higgs boson.
And that's what CERN is supposedly trying to look for. They're smashing particles and recreating the Big Bang, taking hyper fast photos.
So
and
this
looking
is here
for
what
this.
we're talking about, right?
I love those things. You mean there's demons in that?
By the way, the Smithsonian creates I'll get to that. So it's made up of noble gases, and that gets into my theory in a little bit. But so I'm a little bit afraid of cutting it on. Like I don't want to break demons in my office at the house or anything like that.
On this show, we've come to a point, right, Top, where it's like demons exist within frequency, and what really is electricity or plasma?
Wi-Fi, yeah, dude.
It's frequency, highly concentrated, moving at whatever particular speed that enables it to, concentrate in a way that you can see it. but it's free. The same thing that creates a crackling that you would identify as a frequency is electricity. So it's like all one and the same. It's just different levels of it. I guess really everything is frequency.
It's funny. Like I had a little falling out with some tortas from Miami.
Tortas, shout out tortas all over the world.
All the tortas, delicious tortas. But it started off with like man, these people. Because I agreed with Candace Owens when she said that Elon Musk was a demon, and she goes, man, these people, like referencing me, like they're gonna use this app, shit, and look at you guys, like look at your convictions, look, and I'm just like, hey man, I don't think that this app, the Twitter, is necessarily. I mean, it's probably demonic. But I don't think that it specifically belongs to the demonic realm. I think that the technology exists within our realm constantly. It's just organized in a certain way. So for us to like bypass or allow somebody to lay claim to something that does exist, we're talking about this matter in the energy ball, the plasma ball. This is just a de facto existing. So does it necessarily have demons in it? Are we participating? I don't know. Everything is breathing, operating in reality, like talking, vibration.
It is a fallen world, right?
Yeah.
Are we not supposed to and aren't we called to almost war? It's a spiritual warfare,
I'm
right?
here. What am I supposed to do? Nothing.
Right. So if you can engage on a platform, any platform, be it physical or digital or otherwise, and you could win ground for the kingdom of God.
I called them fat. It wasn't nice.
Well, no, you called them tortas, which is more fun.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a torta is like a
snack.
It's a snack, but it's also like a kind of a small Mexican woman who lacks a neck.
Yeah,
and is on the chubbier side. And so that wasn't just for you.
My wife is half Mexican. I'm not calling her a
Don't
torta.
call her. She will hit you, dude. You will get hit. But ask her if she knows which she'll laugh. So yeah, I mean, that's an interesting concept that within this plasma ball could be. I don't know, maybe not just demonic energy, but like spiritual energy.
It's dark energy.
That's
so we were talking about CERN. Well, that's what a particle collider is. They're shooting matter and antimatter at each other. So like if matter is made up of protons, neutrons, electrons, atoms, and so forth, like you're going to have the opposite of that. It's like Bizarro World from Seinfeld, right? It's you're going to have antiprotons, and the opposite of electron is a what's it?
Photon.
No, it's not a photon.
It's not a proton? Proton. Positive and because an electron is a negatively charged molecule and a proton is a positively charged.
This is embarrassing.
Dude, let me tell you, I just gave my one thing that I know right there.
Proton is what it's called. But so you got anti-proton, anti-neutron, and a photron. So anyways, that's what they're doing. They're shooting at these particles and they're colliding, and they're trying to create something. I don't know.
A theoretical particle that would account for all of the dark matter. So they
call it the God particle, the dark matter, the dark energy that I'm talking about right now.
Right.
They call it God particle.
That's fascinating.
Yeah,
lowercase or uppercase.
Yeah, it's an important distinction.
I don't know that it matters to them. It matters to us, but
it just matters. Can they draw power from it? That's really probably what it is at the end of the day.
Well, I think. Yeah, we'll get into it, man. It's gonna get pretty interesting, I think. But I think they worship a god, but it's the god of the darkness, right?
Yeah.
From Genesis 1.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
So about like when God stood over the chaotic waters, and it was like, and he what was it? The smote was the word that was used.
Tohu abohu.
Tohu abohu, baby. Yeah, but it was like
I got it right here.
The word smote, I think, was utilized in that.
Yeah, it was actually. It says
people theorize it was Leviathan.
And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the water. So now moved, I guess, would be the question.
There's a few more.
Okay.
In like Genesis 1, 4, 5, 6, 8, something like that.
Z-Man says dark matter is only 13% of matter. Damn it, Z-Man with the banger.
50% of the crime. And God said, let there be light, and there was light, and God saw the light, that it was good.
Yes.
And God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. Right. And the evening and the morning were the first day.
So, essentially, man, what happens is, and it was Genesis 1:16. also that I had written down. So it talks about the firmament and the ionosphere, and then that gets into
Oh, that's 1:6. Yeah, that's the next one. And he said,
so
let
1:6 or 1:16. I can't remember.
Genesis 1:6. So let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. What the hell does that mean?
Yeah.
Well, like I said, so essentially, and I'll get it. I'm kind of skipping around, but I think we live in like a plasma existence, if you will. Like this whole reality that we're in. How we animate ourselves is like there's plasma all around us. That's how.
It's like plasma.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but they call that different things. We call it. We might call it plasma now, but the substance that essentially when you heat. So let me back up. For anybody who doesn't know, plasma is the fourth state of matter. So you have solid, liquid, gas, and plasma. So you heat a solid, it becomes a liquid. Heat a liquid, it becomes a gas. Heat a gas, it becomes a plasma. So it's dispersed matter, essentially, right? So all this is all around. So everything that dies and all this other stuff kind of lingers around us in this state of like a fish in the ocean, right? You see little turds floating around in the ocean, fish swimming around. They don't know they're swimming in turds and all this other stuff. Right?
Right. Well, we sometimes visit swimming turds, and that's not something I try to think about when I'm doing it.
So anyways, at the I think we live in this plasma world, if you will, and that's the firmament is the ionosphere.
Okay.
Is the upper atmosphere of this plasma world that we live in.
Is this interchangeable with the concept of like aether?
So yeah, I'll get into that. Ether would be like the unified field. It would be like if we all took a giant flag at a football game right before the game and started shaking it, right? That's the excitation of the ether would be the flag.
Okay.
And God's breath would be shaking it, right? That would be the vibration. And I think you have good vibration. Obviously, you have bad vibration. This is the yin and yang concept, right? So that's sort of the ether is sort of like the scaffolding, if you will, for our reality. It's how reality. Plasma is like the stuff that we're made of, right? Or that we can interchange with. And the scaffold, or the ether, and the unified field, or the universal field, or whatever they call it in physics. But yeah, they're all the same. But the ether can be pulled one way or pulled another way.
Okay.
Well,
right.
We were
with the light of God, which is the matter, which I didn't really get into. I mean, I didn't sort of pin that down. But what happened when the antimatter and the matter collide? Matter continues on, and then photons are then released. And that creates this cosmic radiation, right? And then so that over time, according to science, right, is like, it forms the different molecules that creates the matter that we exist in. And so the antimatter is that dark energy, like I said. It's the anti-photon, okay? So photons is what animates the matter. Like light is what animates us. And this is what we were talking about earlier about vibrations and all this other stuff. Like inside of the nucleus of every atom are quarks, and these quarks, when they get excited, and that vibration creates a frequency. That frequency goes on and on, creates matter, which all this other stuff, right? So
it's kind of like the same thing you see, or a similar thing that you see when a sperm inseminates an egg, and there's like a flash of light, right? That same sort of thing, I guess, photons. I just wanted to say this real quick. Because Nikola Tesla is one of these guys that's really tied into, I guess, any research that is probably by the scientific community of modern day. But obviously, Nikola Tesla, being some renowned figure in the community, had a lot to say about ether, or however the hell it's pronounced. But he said the ether was not simply an abstract, empty space. Tesla believed it was a medium filling all space, and this is what you're talking about. This is that dark matter. It's just a rebranding.
Well, yeah. So the ether is a neutral field.
Okay.
And the dark energy, the anti-photon, is what animates in the darkness, right? Mm-hmm. The photon is God's light. It's what animates for the positive. And and the matter always rules over the darkness, because matter won out in the annihilation process, right? So we will always have the upper hand in the annihilation.
It almost sounds like it's not. So I noticed like you have the yin and yang symbol written down, and like the way that Eastern mysticism or Eastern religions look at the yin and yang system or symbol is one of balance, right? Like within all light there is a bit of darkness, or within, but like it seems to me, and I wonder about this, like they say that darkness needs light in order to exist. And the way that I kind of look at that is like you see on the wall there's a shadow casted from the arm of the camera. And that shadow would be the darkness and can only be casted because of the presence of light. But I don't know that it's the other way around. Like I don't know that light needs darkness to exist. And so I look at like a lot of these Eastern religions that seem to have a real emphasis on balance. You know, like balancing the darkness and the light within the human experience, within, you know, one spirit even. And then you look at like Star Wars. And Star Wars, you know, the whole thing is about like, it's not about light winning over the dark side. It's about balance within the force. And I've been looking at that more and more skeptically lately. I'm like, I don't think that light needs darkness in order to exist. It just seems like darkness needs light. And it's not a mutually beneficial relationship, in other words.
Well, how would you know what light is without darkness?
That's
right?
true.
So like you can't, for people who've been to jail, they know darkness.
They become Muslim.
Or Christian. Hopefully they become
that's
Christian.
true. That is true. But
so I mean, but even we were just talking about it in Genesis 1. I mean, he had 12 hours there's 24 hours in a day, 12 hours for day, 12 hours for night. And so he's saying the Bible's, or Moses, I believe Moses wrote Genesis, right? Right?
I don't know. I have no idea.
So I believe he's saying that we are the greater light, you know, even though they rule the night. And again, I'll get into that in a minute, because from dusk until dawn is when these things come out. And there's a reason why that is. And it gets into the idea of geomagnetics, where the earth and the sun are giant magnets. And when
we're talking about the witching hour.
Well, I'm talking, so the witching hour, so there's...
Oh, before we go on, I just wanted to say, as you're talking about this, the ether that we're existing in and how it's just a medium to transmit vibration, when we were talking to Topher Gardner, I don't know if you've had him on from Charisma.
I love Topher.
You just talked to Topher, right? Like recently. Yeah, I got to check that episode.
Well, go subscribe to the Awaken podcast. Why are you not subscribed?
Yeah, absolutely.
He was kind of like discussing the idea of how we're rediscovering our neurological system, where it's not like necessarily tendrils and nerves that react and then go to our brain, but more of we're reacting to this like liquid-based thing. So like the electrical synapses are traveling to our brain through the liquid that coats our muscles. And that's the same idea as the ether. So it's like...
Well, the plasma would be that liquid.
Yes. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
So it's like as above, so below. But it's just like, when God's creating stuff, it's usually fractal in nature, because this seems to be the system that works, and he just continues to do it this way. So boiling it down.
That's an interesting catch.
When you think about it with a battery, right? The battery has the fluid. That's how the ions are exchanged between the positive and the negative.
Because that's the conductor.
Yes, the
right?
conductor.
Yeah.
Right.
This stuff works.
Plasma would be that conductor.
Yeah, this shit works.
Yeah, it works. Why change it? Why would you go ahead and there's like a lot of veins, you know, like they put like the body, look at all the veins. Like that's how it's like, nah, dog, it's just water.
You're never showing us our whole plasma net that goes across our whole body.
Well, they don't even teach you about plasma in school.
No, which is interesting, because
or ether.
You said earlier it's the fourth state of matter, which is, you know, I mean, obviously you have a gas, a liquid, and a solid, and you look at plasma. Plasma does exist.
How you doing on the gas today? Good?
I don't know. I guess I'm good. On the gas. I haven't noticed any. But now that you've drawn attention to it, it's Schrodinger's indigestion, and your active observing my gassiness will determine whether or not I am. But yeah, it's clearly there. Plasma clearly exists, and yet within science, or at least, you know, public school systems, I'm sure there are probably higher education systems. You go to Harvard, they might teach you about plasma. I don't know. But it just seems like something that is never mentioned, but obviously exists. And so you would look at this liquid lightning almost, you know, and go like, well, what the hell's that? And they go, don't worry about that. That's fine. We're not going to teach you about that.
Well, that's what lightning is, but you barely even know what lightning is. Most people don't even know what that is. I mean, so that line you see is like a street. and what travels on that street gets into the idea of like fallen angels. Jesus said, I saw Satan fall like lightning.
Right.
Like when you get into the
that's
idea,
interesting.
yeah, when you get into the idea of like, so all this is created, antimatter, let's just say dark energy now, because antimatter essentially liquefies into this dark energy, right? So this dark energy exists and nobody knows where it went. Well, I think it fills that space, that mass, right? So it's in the upside down, like from Stranger Things. Like,
Yeah.
you remember when Elle was trying to crush the can?
Yeah.
She was trying to crush the can from the mass, from that side of the coin, if you will.
Interesting.
And so she crushed the mass from the inside or from the other side,
Okay.
right? So instead of crushing the can from the outside with her hand, she used her mind to traverse what I would say the ether to go into that.
Contract. This is the same idea as Bob Lazar. We have his little drawing over there, but
I won't hang it up because everybody else has it too.
yeah, we're not.
Yeah,
gonna
I'm
do
pretty
it.
much just like Bob Lazar.
No, that his theory on how the craft work, where it will like kind of aim the propellers in front of it and then manipulate whatever ether is in front of it and pull, rather than
Yes.
like a
Combustion engine.
combustion where it's like a more physical external thing. This is like a pulling, so makes sense.
Yeah, and so that's what that push-pull, like we're, the side of God, the side of Christ and being on the side of Jesus is that pull towards the light. It's a constant tug of war. It's like a cosmic tug of war, if you will, for so I don't think they care about us like that. Like these demons don't really care. They care about us as like a vessel to be in this reality.
Yeah.
They want to exist where we are. This is why they try to create hybrids and
I think that,
abduct
like,
people and all this other stuff.
if they do care about us, it's much more in like an envy, jealousy, because we get to interact in this way and experience life in the physical, which we kind of, I think we take it for granted how special it actually is, because I think in the spiritual, we're disconnected from it, so we look at it as profound. But if we had a deeper understanding, we'd understand that it's very limited and that this is a special experience that we've been gifted, and, we should treat it as such. And these things want constant access to us. So, yeah, I think you're correct. They don't really care about us.
They care about us as a vessel, like Bob
Yeah.
Lazar said. Just
Yes.
using our vessels to continue to create, like, create their own vessels that they can inhabit. They can put their, whatever their soul equivalent is, the anti-soul or whatever it is.
Yeah, this spirit that is
Yeah.
basically just trapped here,
Right.
doesn't ascend, doesn't go anywhere.
Doesn't go anywhere.
Right,
It's
Book of
spirit.
Enoch says.
They don't have soul. So like, we're body, spirit, soul. They're lacking the soul, but they have the spirit. They're able to exist in this underneath, upside down.
But they're an abomination, boy, so they just stuck there.
My son keeps saying he keeps calling me an abomination.
Damn.
Damn, dog, good word.
That's a gangster word. You know what I just realized, too? I've been
Yeah.
feeling super gross, and it's because the eyes of the poor
Look at that,
are upon
33,
us.
Brad.
Oh, it was. When I started saying it was 33 minutes and 33 seconds.
Isn't that when y'all usually cut?
This is when we cut whenever we manage to actually pay attention to the fact that poor people are watching us. Guys, if you want to prove to us that you're not poor, patreon.com/Nephilim Death Squad. Sign up, continue engaging with this episode, the live chat, all the perks that come with it. Otherwise, shout out to Stephen of the Biblical Hitman. And, dude, yeah, he's like right around. Oh, he's on a cruise right now, which is disgusting. Cruises are terrible.
Right. Didn't he say he was going on like Norwegian? No, not Norwegian.
No, he's going on Carnival Cruise, dude, which
dude.
is like a wild.
Carnival?
Steven pays no attention to the internet.
We met his family. They didn't look like carnival people.
He doesn't seem like carnival people, but there he goes.
Wow.
He's off. Guys, we'll see you later on in about a week or two. Otherwise, Patreon, where you want to be. All right, so now that we've shaken off the filthy pores, yeah, what the heck we were saying? They really distracted me.
Well, they exist. I mean, we were talking about essentially that our vessels are being used for hybridization, right? It's like they're trying to create some kind of a creature that can live here.
Yes.
This is what I think mermaids and all these other mythical creatures used to be.
Mermaids coming up on the show a lot lately.
Yeah, mermaids not doing too great either. Once you figure out what they really are, you go, this is not a cool thing. I want to bring this up, and I think it's relevant to the conversation. But so Danny Jones, I think is his name. He's a podcaster, pretty big one. I don't really know his stuff, but I did see a clip from one of his things recently, and I'm gonna see if I can find it here. But he's talking to a gentleman who claims to have figured it out, what the alien abduction experience is, And I really didn't appreciate, because what he said was very reductive and stupid. So I said, this is a profoundly gay and low information take. And the take was, I'll go ahead and read the tweet here. Consciousness researcher Thomas Campbell claims to have solved the alien abduction phenomenon. He says that aliens are something we create in our mind, and abduction experiences are just a fear test given to us by the universal system of consciousness, which is...
Sounds like some shit an alien would type.
100%. Very reductive. And I said, in my estimation, it seems that a lot of it does happen in maybe the astral. But there is a percentage of it that is taking place in the physical. And the reason I maintain that is because you do not get the hybridization program that we're kind of stepping towards right now in this discussion, the black-eyed children phenomenon, where it seems that they are not only trying to possess us to experience life in the physical, but they're also trying to create almost a worthy heir that they can either inhabit or that will inherit something that is rightfully ours. There's a lot of speculation about that. That comes from like the L.A. Marzulli school of thought, the serpent seed wars, things like that. But if this was purely a psychological phenomenon, that it's all manifested in the mind and the mind is giving you a fear test, you've got to explain to me these Bernard Wilkinson on the show soon, who herself was abducted, impregnated, confirmed pregnancy by the doctor. Later on, pregnancy mysteriously disappears. The doctor's taken aback because somehow she shows no signs of ever having been pregnant. And this isn't alone in a vacuum. This happens a lot. This is something that...
It's a huge phenomenon.
It's a huge phenomenon. And then in another abduction experience, she's exposed to these children who are now grown, and they are weird. And the way she describes it is these, ET, whatever you want to call them, I call them demons, but really the Greys are like automatons. They seem to be like a biomech. Yes. Yeah. Are trying to get her to interact with these children because they still can't figure it out. There's something wrong here. They're trying to bridge the gap. They want an heir that is going to do whatever they do, is going to achieve whatever they wanted to achieve, but it's still fundamentally broken. So now they're petitioning Karen Wilkinson, can you interact with this thing? Because this child is not okay. It's like, yeah, maybe because you kidnapped me, you raped me, and then you made me give birth to a sort of hybrid disaster.
By the way, and isn't it crazy that we're even having this conversation? I mean, I think about that sometimes.
No,
yeah, I mean, what I mean by that is I
say this
7
conversation
years ago, I would have been like, what are you guys talking about?
I say this alone in the shower to myself. So now that I'm hearing it from David again, I'm just like, yep,
it's the same old, I mean, really the people in the chat. But this picture right here, Brad, is me telling people that right outside this door in real life, telling people exactly what we're saying right now. So, that's genuinely, I was talking about the hybridization program, all kinds of crap. They're just like, can this guy stop talking? They wanted to escape so bad.
I do this real because I have family members. I have a family member who I think was abducted after talking to her.
Oh,
yeah.
Really?
I
think your cousins, right? You were telling me.
Yeah. So there's a whole lot, I mean, there's real people that I know. It's like not some sci-fi thing that we just read online.
No.
This is real coming from people that have no reason to tell me otherwise.
Well, it's crazy too because my aunt, she's the first person I've ever interviewed on. It was the TopLobsta show, and she had what I'd call an abduction experience minus the alien phenomenon, but it's all the same thing. It's like kind of like weird sexual stuff, a lot of like oppression, a lot of control, and like constant visitations. And there's really no difference. It just manifested to her as like an older, like it's like a Hat Man type person, but some other people have alien grays.
Well, let's look at what happens when people are abducted. They're taken some other place. They're taken underground.
Yeah.
They're taken in the ocean. What is
those two details, Brad, are something that a lot of people don't even understand, but is huge within the UAP community, right? You're saying underground. In the ocean. People have been primed to think like outer space. Yeah. Seems like most of this is happening underground or in the ocean.
And that gets into the theory that I was just talking about. But and again, I'll get there. But what's the common denominator with both of those? The light.
Yeah.
So God's light shines, disperses them back into the ether, right? Or back into their dark energy existence. So, and what do you see during, like if you see a UFO during the day, what do they have on them? they have a metallic casing on them, right?
I did see one during the day. Yeah.
So it's got
That's what it
metallic
was.
casing, right?
Yes.
But
Crazy.
at night, what do you see? You
Like
see,
black.
right?
Yeah. Oh,
So
that's fascinating.
they have like this casing that they put on them to try to interact during the day. So they have figured out how to hack into staying in this existence. But
It's like a vampire would have to like cloak themselves.
right, yeah,
Dude, I
exactly.
don't think that is. I think that little euphemism you just used is probably more accurate. Like the crossover between vampire lore and what
then I
these
wanna
things are.
realize.
Then you-
Casket,
yeah.
or the casket too. Yeah.
Yeah. There's something to that. I mean, I wanted to do.
This is getting anti-Semitic. I don't like
It's
it.
getting a little anti-Semitic. Who owned those? But I wanted to talk, and I haven't done it yet. But and I'm not saying that I'm sold on this, but there is a large connection between the idea of Cain, and as in Cain and Abel, Cain and vampires, and what Cain actually was, what the mark actually was, what the land of Nod actually was, what all that meant, and then how it birthed modern day vampire lore, and how. It's not like, I mean, things got a little bit weird, right? I mean, obviously, if you're looking at like Twilight, things got a little weird, a little gay, a little sparkly. But if you go to like Dracula and things of that, and like Vlad the Impaler and what he might have actually been involved with, what Cain actually might have been as far as the early archetype for the modern day vampire, I think there's something there. But yeah, just to say, like, all of this is, there's a divide, right? It's God and then this. And so vampires, aliens, demons, yada, 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 they're all part of the same regime, if you will. So yeah, the overlap there is probably huge.
So they use noble gas to come into our reality. And that is sort of one of the big ideas of this theory that I have is essentially noble gases are these inert gases, which means they can't be chemically altered, right? They can't, like, you can't form these different molecules and stuff like that with it. So it's inert.
Okay.
And I'll have to read from.
Yeah, these are the noble gases over here. So helium, I don't know really any. Argon.
Yeah, I knew it because this is what I weld with.
Krypton, by the way.
Yeah.
Really?
Krypton, xenon, helium, right?
Helium.
neon. Okay. So all of these gases glow different colors when the electrons are stripped from them, right? Some of them glow purple, some of them glow orange. This is where you get into the idea of orbs having these different colors, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
so it's
okay.
like- so noble gases. So if these things exist as dark energy, again, I'm kind of skipping around, but essentially, what I think that they come in through the noble gas because they're chemically inert.
Like you turn these things sideways, they look like Three-Eye Atlas.
Yeah,
You
which,
know
by
what
the
I
way,
mean?
I think is a total hoax as well. I meant to
Yeah,
mention that
there's
earlier.
something,
Yeah.
but my thing with it, and I'm sure we'll get to it later on. I want you to finish this line of thought, but my thing with it is I'm concerned with what it is they might be
CERN.
trying. I am concerned with opening a black hole. What they might be trying to achieve with this, because it seems like they're putting an awful lot of eggs in this basket of Three-Eye Atlas, and I'm like, what do you have planned? Like, what would you like to achieve with this? Because I also think it's a hoax, but like, you use a hoax sometimes to pull off a real thing and deceive people about the nature of it.
Well, space. It's not out there. It's the space that I was just talking about. Whenever I first started talking about the 33rd parallel, one of the threads I pulled on was you could find right before 9/11 in February 2001 there was and not to take this on a 9/11 thing or anything like
ahead,
that,
man.
but the FCC went to the government and they said, hey, the DoD needs control over the 33rd gigahertz signal, which is the Earth to space communication signal.
Wild.
But who are they communicating with in space?
Yeah,
because
yeah.
the what is it called, the ISS? I think it's in the upper part of the ionosphere, so it's not even in space, right? So who are they communicating with to space? Well, then you look at the Lucifer Telescope at Mount Graham.
Doesn't the Vatican own that?
Yeah, well, it's a Earth to space it's an Earth to space telescope, right?
Okay.
So-
I was just looking up, by the way, the WOW signal, which apparently occurred in 1977. So there was signals that were coming from, space for some time before 9/11. And so I wonder, and people are trying to say that that's what Three-Eye Atlas is the thing that emitted the WOW signal all those decades ago. But who knows?
I think space is fake in a way.
Space?
I mean, in
Fake and
terms
gay?
of in terms of how they're trying to describe. Like I don't. You think that we have a telescope traveling, sending pictures back?
No.
It's insane to even.
No,
suggest
I
that.
agree. And if
know
you
what
look
I
at
mean?
the apparatus that made us believe that, NASA, right, started by Werner von Braun, Operation Paperclip, and Hollywood, which is just a propaganda arm that was refined from what the Nazis had and then what we were inspired to create here, probably using some of those from Operation Paperclip. So, yeah,
This
whatever
is
tells you
bizarre.
that is like bullshit.
It's bizarre that the military systems specifically operate on 33 to 36 gigahertz,
Right.
but yeah.
And it was. By the way, they got that access to that signal, and they said a big event was going to happen soon. That was their justification for getting that access to that signal.
That's
And
interesting.
then what happened in September
Yeah.
was September 11th. So
That's fascinating. Huh.
yeah. So, anyways, man. Again, you were talking about it earlier, right? We're like vibrations and stuff like that, right? If we exist in this 0.0035% of the electromagnetic spectrum, that means that 99.965% is this antimatter, is this empty space that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Right. That's completely empty space around us that we can't see. It's imperceptible to us. So when they use the Lucifer Telescope, it's a binocular telescope with a prism inside. When they use it, they have to cryogenically freeze it to near infrared levels to where they can use it because they have to freeze it to be able to see in the infrared. Now, the infrared would be slow vibrations.
And
Really
by the
slow
way,
and
the way
cold
they freeze
vibrations.
it is like,
Are you sure the infrared is slower? I thought.
Yeah, it's super slow. Like we're in the visible spectrum, which is a medium.
Yeah. So like
Radio waves and microwaves and infrared is very long and slow. And then on the opposite side, gamma rays and X-rays and all that, that's super fast. That's hot. That's radiation. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So,
by the way, they freeze it
yeah.
to negative 328 degrees
Right.
Fahrenheit. Like they freeze it.
So when they look into space, they're looking into the infrared space around us. Does that make sense?
That's interesting.
And I think that,
That's interesting.
I think the ionosphere is a prism. It's the firmament. It's a prism. And God's light shines through the prism and it creates the rainbow of light, which is the human, H-U-E, right? We're human beings. Mm-hmm. And that's what we exist in. It's God's light creating us in this prism. Now, in the Lucifer Telescope or in all these binocular telescopes, they have reverse prisms. And that's what makes me think that they're looking past the firmament into something that's like space related, if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
I
well,
hope I'm making sense with all this stuff.
no, I mean this is infrared. So this goes back to, it's interesting they call it the Lucifer Telescope, and they're
changed it to
freezing
Lucy.
it that much. Yeah. And they're freezing it that much to be able to perceive, this infrared spectrum. Negative 328 degrees Fahrenheit is wild.
So infrared it is faster. Ultraviolet, because I do a lot of studies on frequency vibration, but infrared is going to be on the higher side of the spectrum of speed. Ultraviolet will be low. The stuff in between is the visible light. So if they're freezing infrared, they're slowing it down so they can see it.
I got you.
What it seems like they're trying to do.
So, but that reminds me of when you get those stories out of Vietnam, right, where they're looking through infrared for the first time through.
They're looking through Dicenian glass, which is like blue.
Yeah, but there was they're seeing some sort of spectrum. I forget what it is. I think it was the infrared spectrum, and they're seeing demons. Like there's maybe I'm thinking of night vision. They came out recently with contacts that enable you to do that.
Check this out. This is what you're going to need to know. See, so on infrared on that side there,
I got you. But
that's going to be vibrating at extremely high waves. The Dicenian glass is probably somewhere along here. So they're probably like in the realm of what visible light is and where the ultraviolet light is. Like that's like super slow moving light. So you'll have short wave, middle wave, long wave functions.
I was used to looking at is flipped around for the electromagnetic radiation.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know if was that the electromagnetic radiation?
That's perceivable light, but that must be something different. Let me
That's
look that up.
interesting. Matt has a book in here that I always pass by. I never picked up. I don't know where it is right now, but it's like The Speed of Purple is what the name of the book is or something like that. That's fascinating.
Well, purple's not even a real color, allegedly.
Oh, well,
Allegedly. I don't like when they say that though, because I'm like, how dare you? I don't know. It's an interesting thing to say, but yeah, that's that whole Vatican Lucifer Telescope thing. I mean,
Yeah, here you go. This is so X-rays, ultraviolet, infrared.
Oh, so everything I've ever seen has been the opposite of that. It's been flipped around. It's been like literally. Well, you could see that slow vibration. You see that long. So that would be a slow, like a long. It's like it looks short to us, but it's like the length of a New York City or something, right? It's like really super slow. It's like where the radio waves and all that stuff exists. And that's what I was saying, that the X-rays and the gamma rays, they vibrate at a faster rate, which creates more radiation. I mean, I could be wrong, completely wrong about all of this, but so the point of saying that is that like if you look at all these ancient texts that you look at the Book of Enoch and also you look at the Bible and Revelations, it talks about enormous red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns swept a third of the stars out of the sky and flung them to earth. What are stars made out of?
plasma. I guess,
Plasma.
yeah.
And what is the stars inside of the plasma made out of? Noble gases.
Gas and feeling gassy.
Yeah.
A little gassy, yeah.
And so Jesus said in Matthew 16:18, he declared on Mount Hermon, on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. The reason I say that is because at all of these historical landmarks around the world, these stone circles, these dolmens, these passage mounds, these Stonehenge, Avebury, the pyramids, all this stuff, they're strategically built certain type of stone near volcanoes or extinct volcanoes.
Huh.
Okay. And the reason I say that is because what is inside of also it goes back to my theory on ley lines, because faults, fissures, volcanoes, all this other stuff, at certain times of the day, electrical energy comes out of it and it flows along the earth.
You actually see that like when one erupts, you'll catch like these really unbelievable images of like bolts of lightning.
Yeah.
And like, are they coming out of or going into the volcano? But
well, you see a lot of UFOs going in and out of
that
volcanoes
too,
as well,
dude.
right?
That too.
Forgot about that.
So here's the thing. Magnetite is in volcanoes and fault lines.
Oh no, that's Magnemite. I'm sorry,
Magnetite it's made of 70% iron.
Okay.
Inside of the magnetite is every noble gas. So the gates of hell, I mean, Jesus said, on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail. Gates are made of iron. That's what they usually put around cemeteries, right, to keep the spirits in.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Yeah.
that's interesting. Yeah, to kill a witch, you need like cold iron.
So what I'm saying
Good to
here,
know. We're watching you, Bridget.
Oh, to kill you, Britney.
So this is a magnetite.
So you find that in like the crust of the earth, and you also find it in volcanic areas. So how that gets unlocked. So what happens is every day at dusk and dawn, as the giant magnet in the sky interacts with our giant magnet, the sun interacts with the earth, as it comes across the horizon, it creates what's called induction. This is Faraday's law of induction, right? Two permanent magnets can create electrical current.
Okay.
So as it moves, what it does is it unlocks that magnetite, iron.
It unlocks the gates to the underworld.
It unlocks. Well, this actually gets into. I'm starting to think that maybe this is the little season, right? It's like
oh shit.
because the little season translation in Hebrew means appointed time. It doesn't say like 700 years. It just says appointed time. So it could be from 12 to 12.
That's interesting.
So it could be the little season, and the gates of hell was given to a star.
Oh my
right?
God! Like from 12 to 3 a.m. is the
Right.
little season.
It's
where
like
Satan is.
time where he's loosed. Yeah.
That's a fascinating
So-
thought.
So basically, man.
Little Caesar is mad about
Yeah.
that.
Listen, don't beat me up, please, guys.
Little Caesar is mad about that. Yeah, dude,
Please
that's
don't beat me
a little season where Satan is loosed happens every day from midnight to 3 a.m.
Because he rules the darkness. I'm sorry, buddy.
Smack that thing. Smack it.
That is
So-
interesting.
That's a fascinating thought.
So you think that just happens over and over again?
Every
Yeah,
day.
because of the way it's positioned and it's unlocking through this magnetic pull
It's
between
unlocking the gates of hell. It's unlocking that iron,
Whoa.
and it's releasing these things out. and they come out. Well, so first of all, what they come out as is they come in through noble gases. So they ride this electrical current that's called a telluric current.
Dude, they show up at 2 a.m. as balls of plasma,
Right.
orbs.
And what are balls of plasma? Again, noble gases. That's what's inside of the plasma ball that I showed you. It's a neon inside of there.
That's why I think it might just be.
Yeah, dude,
Because that's
that's
how
why-
they be traveling around. They
Yeah,
travel
I'm
around
gonna
the
touch
orbs.
that.
Dude,
Yeah.
I really.
Yeah, it translates to
So-
time 33 times actually in the Bible, and it also translates to oftentimes, which is
Oftentimes.
yeah.
Oftentimes, like you talking about nightly?
But the time, if it translates to time, like
Time is a
like
different thing.
Time,
Yeah.
33 times in the Bible. I don't know, dude. I'm not looking into the numerology.
Well, I'm just chewing ice into the mic. I didn't think about that. What I will say is that the strongest point, and I'm speaking personally from experience, is like 3:30 a.m.
3:33 every time.
3:33
Yeah.
gets a little bit more specific,
Yeah.
but it's certainly 3:30 at the very least. And that's when, like, I've woken up and it's been like 3:30 on the dot, and I'm like, just woke up from some spiritual happening, something, whether it's a dream or something's in the room or whatever the case is. It is like at its most potent during that time.
And I could be wrong about this, but the sun would be on the opposite side of Earth, right? Or pretty close to closing the portal on the other side. So there might be a pull on the
When the portal closes
portal's
over there,
right,
it's
yeah.
open over here type of
Right.
deal. Well,
Yeah, yeah.
now flat earthers big mad too.
Yeah,
That's
well,
interesting.
I'm getting everybody.
Everybody's getting
Christianity too, because I said Big Bang.
Oh,
I'm a
yeah,
Christian,
yeah,
guys.
yeah.
Don't beat me up, please.
No. I mean, I think that
So-
there's it's the same way like these.
Well, why wouldn't there be a Big Bang? You know, it's like, I don't know. How did it start? But
I don't know
the
anything.
question is who did it, not
It's God. That's
Yeah.
who did it. That's
Well,
who-
yeah, because they go, oh, it was a big bang, and you're like, yeah, who kicked it off?
yeah.
Oh.
So also, where else is noble gases found? In the ionosphere, in the upper atmosphere. And so we see those in the sky at night, right? So during the nighttime, the whole planet, the atmosphere and everything becomes a complex plasma, okay? During the daytime, what we see is air glow from the sun electrifying essentially the plasma and like turning it into plasma. So it's a complex plasma at night, and then the sun comes out and electrifies it, and it's dispersed. This is God's light dispersing these things, right, back into essentially nothing. As the sun goes down at as it comes up at dawn or whatever, dusk, as it goes down at dusk and comes up at dawn, it creates this little moment, this little window of time for these things to come in, because they quickly form back into a complex plasma. And complex plasmas, for those who don't know, are highly intelligent. They're super intelligent supercomputers, and this is where you get the term non-human intelligence from. Because
Yeah.
when the government's talking about non-human intelligence, they're not talking about space creatures. They're talking about what I'm talking about right now. So
That reminds me of the drone situation, where the drone situation was interesting back in New Jersey last year. You had these things that were appearing as drones, but then upon closer inspection, if you zoomed in on them with a camera, if you got a better look at them, they seemed to like dissolve into plasma. And they seem to be going back and forth between what we might perceive. Like there was even things that seemed to be planes upon first glance, but then the more you scrutinize it, you're like, that's not a plane. That doesn't even make sense. Like the height that it's at, the sound that's not happening. Like it was almost like it was disguising itself. And plasma became a really big part of the conversation.
I was on y'all's show 2 months before all that drone stuff happened, talking about this stuff. So
Yeah.
I was trying to I was saying it before it started happening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
and-
I'm not trying to be prophetic about
No,
it. I'm
no,
just
but I
saying,
mean,
like,
you then
I literally
saw
just
the application of what you were talking about. Like if plasma has the ability, if all matter is just plasma at a different, vibrating at a different frequency or whatever, becoming more solid or less solid, taking different appearances, it seemed like that's what we were actually watching, was something that had the ability to make that process fluid in real time. They're going from a solid craft to like all of a sudden this plasma ball. You had New Jersey, I don't know, like politicians that were coming out and saying that on the news. Like, I was looking at these things, and before my eyes, it morphed into a ball of plasma. Like politicians were saying it. I forget exactly who it was, but we were following it. We had episodes on the drone situation, and it was getting weirder and weirder, but plasma was like at the root of it.
I've been told not to worry about it, so I'm sure that everything's fine.
Don't worry about it.
Well, I don't think they are worried about it because there's nothing they can do about it because it exists outside of our,
Yeah.
It's like, oh, nothing to see here. Good to go. We can't control. You can't, whatever.
Yeah,
But
that's happening anyway.
Oh, that's interesting. Brenna says in the chat, she says, Ilio movie has liquid supercomputers. And I think that's a kid's movie that came out pretty recently, Ilio.
Well, so dude, again, this gets into the idea of it's found, like, noble gases are found in the ocean. They're found in the upper atmosphere. Again, all this stuff, where are they coming from? Where are they developing at? Where are they going?
Yeah.
Dissolved noble gases are in the ocean. So all of these things, man, what I'm saying about that with the noble gases, I think that they aren't coming from the ocean. I don't think they're originating from the atmosphere. I think they're coming from the gates of hell. Because, dude, I swear, every time there's a paranormal thing, do a Google search. Is there a volcano or an extinct volcano nearby or fault line? I live in Charleston on the 30th, or I'm from Charleston on the 33rd parallel, one of the biggest faults in the world. Oak Ridge in Tennessee is on a fault line, right? All this stuff, all these places that are happening on the West Coast with all these Bigfoot encounters and all that stuff, all of that's on fault lines and all this other stuff. So anywhere that there's like heavy fissures, fault lines, all this other stuff, cracks in the earth where this stuff can seep out, these electrical energies. So it creates an electromotive force, EMF.
You're saying that they are like they are within, like, from inner Earth, but not necessarily residing there. Like, do you think that this?
No. So let me explain. Okay. So they exist in the negative of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
When they want to come into our reality, they come in through noble gases.
Right.
And then they ride the electrical currents coming out of the volcanoes and all these other places. And they get to, let's say, Stonehenge. Stonehenge is a circle, right? A stone circle. All that's doing is electrical current, and it's keeping it in a vortex like this, okay? These things come in. They come in as noble gases. They hit the complex plasma. They float around like the jellyfish UFO that I showed you guys last time with Jeremy Corbell. They hit that magnetic field, and then they morph into halos, toroids, and then multiple mixed together will start to look like stars in these different kind of shapes. So what they're coming in at is as essentially they start off as halos, and then they become orbs.
Is this what, like, crop circles are about as well?
Yeah, crop circles are.
This is a disembodied intelligence that's moving through these fields and then just manipulating them at will. This kind of goes into that whole idea.
At will. There has to be a certain geographic location in which they can do this. There has to be that thinny, that crack.
Speaking of thinnies, major fault zone known as the Wasatch. Shout out to Atma. He brought this up and it made me look it up. The Wasatch Fault Zone. It's one of the major seismic boundaries in Utah where you're getting Skinwalker Ranch, right? Mm-hmm. So you've got a massive fault line that runs through Utah. By the way, some of the locations it runs to, Top, you're going to get a kick out of this. From Malad City down through Logan, Ogden, Salt Lake City, Utah, Provo, and Nephi.
What?
As in Nephi.
Nephilim.
Nephi, and ending near Fayette, Utah.
Ogden there kind of looks a little bit like Odin.
Yeah, it does.
Very interesting.
That's a weird one though. Provo, so this would be right after Provo. They didn't want to put it on there. They're like, no, we're not going to do that. But isn't that fascinating?
This fault line like increased from 400 BC to 1600 AD?
Dude, what is the Bermuda Triangle? The Bermuda Triangle? Bermuda is as an extinct volcano seamount. So again, you get in these magnetic anomalies. So electrical currents coming out have a magnetic field. That magnetic field causes a little bit of a vortex when it interacts with Earth's magnetic field. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So what happens is when you have a magnetic field, it's just like when we have our phones and we put them up to our mics or whatever, it makes a crazy noise. So two magnetic fields, when they interact, they're gonna separate the electrical and the magnetic currents. I mean, the electrical and magnetic fields.
Okay.
And so normally they're doing this, they're just touching. Well, with that, they're creating a little gap.
Right.
You know,
It creates a little vortex, and that's how these things go, and they come in through the.
There's your portal.
There's your portal.
and going back to the stones, because you mentioned the significance of the stone type that's there.
Blue stones,
So
specifically,
you
sometimes
have
limestones as well.
quartz-rich sandstone in the Uinta Basin.
Where was Charlie Kirk killed? I mean, that's a.
Oh
so
yeah, that was in.
kind of interesting.
Well, that's. I mean, yeah. If you're gonna do, what would you call it?
yeah.
If you're
Okay.
gonna do rituals and
a blood
sacrifices,
sacrifice
yeah.
on a fault line is crazy.
You mentioned crop circles. Crop circles are also called temporary temples. All of these places, these passage mounds, all this other stuff, they're known as temples. I had a guy named Freddie Silva on my show. He came on and talked about it. I also had a lady about temporary temples on my show, talking about crop circles. And what they said is when you go into these, you get downloads of information. So where would the fallen angels be giving information to humans?
Oh yeah, dude.
Right? And this is where the fallen angels would interact with people.
Now,
is
what if
at
the
these
crop
spots.
circle is a sigil of a specific fallen angel or demon, and then you're
Oh,
going
yeah.
there and getting the download there?
That's like one of my favorite
Oh,
stories.
yeah, it's true. But you actually, they're creating a temporary temple for these things.
Yeah.
So when these other UFOs, orbs, aliens, demons, whatever, come in, they create another little vortex for other things to come in.
Oh, I see.
Right?
yeah.
And so what you mentioned earlier with, they're always at intersections, right? So the ley lines come across, and what happens are these electrical currents flow across the earth, and you can look it up. It's called Peterson currents. That's the scientific thing for
Jordan Peterson currents.
for ley lines,
Shout out
right?
Jordan Peterson.
So there's a male and a female.
Okay.
All right, this is where we get the idea for serpents from. It's like energies that are crisscrossing the earth.
Okay.
And when they intersect, when that male and female current intersects, this is where these portal locations are at. So what a ley line is it would be like if you had a volcano and it was spewing out these electrical currents, it would flow along the earth around on that line.
Right.
That would be a ley line, and it connects all these other different sites. And so that's why you see all these points on ley lines, these portal locations. Now, NASA talks about this stuff too, by the way. They talk about portals, they call them X points. And what X points are essentially where the geomagnetics of when Earth and when the Earth and the sun line up, just like I said, it creates there's these little X points. They can never find exactly where they're at because they change. They create little X points, and these X points open up, and they let what's called Birkeland currents come through, and Birkeland currents are just plasma. They're just lightning, basically. So these things are coming from beyond the firmament.
Yeah.
They're finding these little holes to come in.
Look at
And-
this. This is nuts, dude. What it looks like.
That is literally a portal. That's
Makes you
what
wonder
they call
about
portals.
X.
It's
right?
a portal.
Elon
This is
and
what
X
you're
and
talking
everything.
about.
Yeah.
That's the motion that like with these two forces touching, and then that yellow there is that thinny open. It's
Yep.
not very thin.
But
I mean,
that's
that's probably
the-
huge.
What you're looking at is the Earth's solar wind and the magnetic field of the Earth creating that X point.
Now,
It says Jack Scudder, who's an actual scientist at NASA, calls them hidden portals.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. This is I don't know if it's a departure, but it's a quick question. In your opinion, is this
I got titties.
Z-Man says that's just two titties touching with the two big waves.
is this phenomenon that we're looking at here? Do you think it's done on purpose, or is this a design flaw, or this is just like it has to happen
Well,
in order for the rest of it to
What
work?
does it
you know?
say? It says, the fifth angel sounded a trumpet, and I saw a star that had fallen from the sky to the earth. The star was given the key to the shaft of the abyss. So I don't know what's coming through the portals from the X points from the ionosphere. I don't know if that's an angel coming in to unlock the gates of hell for the little season to loose Satan for those 12 hours every night and then close it back up.
Man, I don't know, but that theory, I really like that theory.
Nothing good happens at night.
Dude,
Yeah, no.
my mom used to say nothing good ever happens past 10 o'clock at night.
And why do we have a fear of night? Why do we have deep-seated DNA fears of like nighttime and all this other stuff, dude?
Yeah.
And clowns, like Paul Stops talks about. So
Yeah.
That theory could aggravate every. It's almost like
Pisses
Ed's-
off everybody. I like it.
It's Ed's theory about like why not all three pre, mid, post trib
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
thing. It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
well, why not every day? We
Why
a
not
little
every
scene
day, baby?
dog. Yeah.
I mean, obviously something is happening. You could metaphorically say that Satan, the adversarial spirit, the spirit of Satan, right, is loosed on the world nightly. I mean, you call it the witching hour. It's the same. Literally, you could use the same language that I just used to describe exactly what's happening between 12 and 3 in the morning. So even if it's not what was meant by the little season, it is a short season nightly where that thing happens.
Nobody can ever name the little. How is it? 200 years? Is it 500 years? Is it 1,000 years?
It's just a time, dog.
Nobody ever really names it.
Yeah,
so that's what I'm saying. Maybe it's just a time.
That's interesting. Yeah. That is very interesting.
But listen, I don't know enough about the little season. Like Ed came on my show and schooled me a lot on that. I honestly, I was kind of lost. I was like, I just trust what he's saying. I trust what he's saying, so I'm just gonna.
I always say, like, for the little seasoners, which is like what they, I always say, I have a lot of sympathy
little seasoners on
for them, because it's like clearly something has been obfuscated from us, right? Whatever Tartaria is, and they get mad even if you say Tartaria. Like, it's not Tartaria, it's a millennial kingdom. Like, okay, whatever is going on, something large happened with architecture that was hidden from us. And, the mud flood seems to have happened. You have that in combination with like the orphan train phenomenon. And then all the melt stuff. We've talked about that before with Jeremy Livesey, who, by the way, we have to reach out to Jeremy. He's gonna be moving soon. We gotta have him down here.
Right.
But there is all this evidence of like ancient sites that seem to have been melted, but they're giant stone sites. Look like the remains of castles, all sorts of things. And you look at it, and just to the eye, to the average person who's not, an archaeologist, who's not an architectural, engineer, you would go, melted, dog. What's the explanation for that? So there's a lot of things. Like, I give them a lot of credit. It leads to wild speculation. I just don't like how weird they get about it.
Well, Göbekli Tepe and Stonehenge, I believe, was destroyed on purpose, like at some point. Göbekli Tepe was covered up on purpose.
Yeah.
So it makes me think that God flooded the earth because of all these portals that were all like these locations that people, I think back then, were tricked into believing that these were their ancestral, their kindred spirits. Or
you
whatever.
get a lot of that.
You know what I mean?
Ancestral spirits. Yeah.
So they would build these stone circles, these graveyards and everything on these ley lines because they thought that they were communicating with the dead, because they thought that the dead would enhance the lives of the living in some way.
We do it today.
Yeah.
We do it right now. Yeah.
Well, they do it. I went to, what's that place called? Devil's Tower in Wyoming. And
how was that? You went there?
Yeah, it was huge, man.
Does it still give the impression
feeling
of a giant tree when you're there?
Yes. Even more so. Because you look around and you look at the trees that are surrounded, the little ones, and they're all like they look exactly the same at the base.
That's interesting.
Yeah, but they had like these little they don't allow you to take pictures of them, but like they have these little, Native Americans will tie like cloth and stuff to the trees and stuff. And that's the idea, is that they are kind of paying homage to the dead spirits of that area.
It's so unnatural.
Dude, in Wyoming, man, let me just say this. Buffalo, Wyoming, we left Yellowstone, which is that's a super volcano for those who don't know. There's a lot of anomalous things that happen there.
Because it's a national park, right?
Yes.
So all sorts of show me a national park where there isn't high strangeness. I'd imagine there's even more so at that one,
and where there's not a volcano or a volcano.
A super volcano. Yeah.
But we left Yellowstone. We started driving because we drove. Man, it was 30 hours. It was a long time. But we left and we got to Buffalo, Wyoming, and I had to stop because.
Dude, you just be driving.
Yeah.
You just be driving 30 hours here.
It's just 30 hours there.
Like, dude, oh my God.
I'm afraid of flying, to be honest with you. That's from like basically being in the military. I flew a lot in the military, so I was like.
Not anymore. I'm good.
Yeah, it was some danger. Well, the biggest thing is like there's a lot of DEI stuff, and I'm not flying on planes where they're like just high.
Oh, yeah. Well, Sam Tripoli says that. He's like, they don't want you to fly. They're trying to do a demoralization campaign. I wouldn't be surprised, but. I look at like 30 hours here, 7 hours here. I'm like, I drove to Vegas and then I drove to Florida and now I'm done forever. And I won't ever get on another long trip like that unless I'm flying.
Well, you will if you got up the Soul plane and it was like crazy on
if it's nice, if it's not, well, because I want to go see places like, Thailand or but it's like, what's the trip, dude? The trip to go to Thailand is like insane. And I'm not paying that much to go see, or waiting that long to go see Lady Boys. That's not what I'm doing. So I just can't do it. if it's beyond a certain length of time. But go on. So yeah.
No, we left Yellowstone and we drove and we got through Buffalo, Wyoming, and I had to stop and take pictures because every mountain I saw was literally a pyramid. There's no other way to describe them.
Whoa.
It was pyramids, dude.
Yeah, and this is the idea that they're like buried.
They're not even buried. It's just like, oh, that's a pyramid. I was like, well, my wife is very like,
All right,
straight
so
and narrow, but
human constructed, or
it looked like the pyramids. I've been to the pyramids in Egypt. I've seen what they look. They look just like that, but smaller. And so like they were everywhere. Yeah. I was like, there's no way that's a pointy mountain like that, dude. That's crazy to even consider that. But so what I'm saying is, I think
you see them from an aerial view too, and they look like they have sides, like definitive sides.
Well, there's a pyramid off the coast of Louisiana and underneath the ocean that nobody's even ever talked
Really?
about. Yeah. So there's things everywhere in the United States. There's places like Göbekli Tepe in South Carolina that I'm going to go explore. So there's places everywhere, dude. But I think that the flood happened to essentially close off all those portals, and I think that the what is it called? The Crusades happened to go shut down all those portal locations. Göbekli Tepe was buried up with literally different types of sand and dirt and stuff, as if someone brought it there and covered it up. So, and I think that's part of the reason why
we won't excavate it.
We won't excavate these things. Yeah.
That's interesting.
So I think that there is good people. This sounds redundant and ridiculous too, but like I think that there might be a good faction of the government that's working to continue to do that. But then I think that there are occultists and all these other people who are, working to uncover these things and work on the other side.
What a strange predicament, because there are like what we would deem good people. Like I don't know if I'd say Graham Hancock is a good person, but he seems like there's always like this, like, oh, is this a white hat, a black hat? What are they doing?
Seems like he's just inquisitive.
He's inquisitive. Then you have that other guy,
Randall Carlson.
No, the guy that's been like debating him. He's a real retard.
Oh, he's the guy that's like basically
got a dopey name.
Archaeology or whatever.
Starts with F. Flanagan or Fanny or something like that.
Yeah.
Flynn.
Stupid.
Flynn? Something.
Finnegan?
No. It's really something ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But he's working to keep this stuff buried, and you're like,
yes. He's like, no, you didn't see anything. And Graham Hancock was like, no, I dove it like 180 times.
Yeah.
And I saw a pyramid off the coast of Japan or whatever.
Yeah.
Flynn
Dibble.
Flynn Dibble. Yeah.
What a dumb name. Yeah, dude, that's such a stupid name.
asshole.
But it's also
Good memory, dude.
It's
Flynn Dibble.
It's a theory that I brought up as well with Elon Musk and the Epstein files and all that. And it's like, perhaps the government is keeping these Epstein files at bay to protect us, because it's a crazy thing. I know most people can be like, no, we need to know who did this, and I agree. But the reason I say that is because once you accuse somebody of something, like if I accuse you outright and I completely have pulled your pants down, you have no reason to act civilly with me.
Yeah. So where you used to have blackmail on an individual to make them like play ball in a nefarious thing, what if you have blackmail on an individual to keep them from doing some shit?
And they'd gladly play ball because most people want to be within society and some benefits. But if I strip that off of you and you have control of, I don't know, some sort of 0-point technology that you can just fly a craft through any building at light speed and no one can stop you, well, then what's stopping you? So it's almost like that chain that's kept on these people with the Epstein files. This blackmail actually could be something that is sparing us. There's a lot of kids getting raped too, but I'm just saying.
Well, I do.
Is that a thing?
I think that's a really fair question. It's like, yeah,
Elon
all
Musk.
Of it.
Think about Elon Musk alone, and Raytheon, Lockheed Martin. The stuff that we have now is stuff that has been developed 40 years ago. The weaponry, what they're working with now for sure, is the things that we see in the sky. These like what they're teasing like Fravor with, where they're flying after them with their F-15s and they can't get it. That's probably military-industrial complex stuff that's being tested.
They're doing the same thing during the New Jersey drone thing. They're chasing naval ships with a fleet of like 12 plasma drones or whatever. And let's just say hypothetically that's not the phenomenon. What if that is his own company like Marvel's Stark Industries, right? Where he's got the cutting-edge technology, but you guys had that guy under your thumb because you had him banging some kids And if you would say anything and he goes, well, now I'm just going to fly these into because I don't give a shit anymore.
It probably is the phenomenon. And the phenomenon like reveals itself, and it allows humans to get closer and closer to their technology from the beginning. From the Book of Enoch, you go from like they're making weapons out of bronze, and then that turns into iron, and then so on and so forth. And now we're here to the point where we're right on the edge with this. Like, well, what do you do after this?
Yeah.
Like, this is like the end game. I just often wonder, is that the barrier? Is that little level of blackmail the barrier that's keeping this disclosure from flying wide open?
Honestly, such a fun thought because nobody wants to go there.
People get real mad about it.
Yeah, people don't want to go there. How dare I say this?
Damn, man.
But like, that's a thought. Is all of it just a nefarious thing, or is it like, yeah, but these three guys over here, we had them bang those kids because if we didn't, they'd be flying. Yeah,
we decided to do everybody else because it was fun.
Yeah,
but like these guys here. Yeah.
Like they were going to take it and fly it into the Pentagon, and it was going to be one of those situations where no matter how many camera angles you had of it,
and they did fly it.
That's what I'm saying. Like there's no when that thing hit the Pentagon, people say it's a missile. The conventional explanation is it's a plane. Whatever it is, it's not on video. You just can't see whatever hit the Pentagon because it's moving that fast. So like what if that's a taste of something like that? What if you could just do that at the drop of a hat if you wanted to?
Well, there was the Greada Act that Eisenhower signed in like 1955 or something. I mean, you got after the Roswell crashes in 1947, like 3 weeks later, Truman signed the National Defense Act that created all the CIA and FBI and all this other stuff. To basically, that's what they do in the government, man. They create all these different organizations and they give one person this job, one person that job, and so nobody knows anything. They're just working on this thing, they're working on that thing, and they're working on this thing. So it's like if you were working in a department, I was working in a department, I have a piece to the puzzle. It's a 1,000-piece puzzle.
Yes, but that's the thing.
We'll never know what each other's doing. So we're going to be like, oh, he's a good dude, man. He's not doing anything crazy.
But it's rarely the government that actually has the breakthrough, right? Like even NASA and the story of like Jack Parsons. Jack Parsons works for JPL, Jet Propulsion Laboratories, that's subcontracted to NASA. So NASA doesn't have the breakthrough in modern day jet propulsion technology. That comes from a subcontractor, a privately owned entity. So it's like most of the breakthroughs in technology happen in privately owned entities, and then the government subcontract. The idea that like
not just
the government's running a sexual blackmail operation to keep these subcontractors in line is a crazy thought.
That naval guy that was on Merkel a while ago, he was talking about this, and it is like it's just standard operating procedure where a private company will develop a weapon or technology, and then they have to test it and prove its efficacy before a government will, get in a contract with it, or they're like funding it until it's ready to roll out. And the proven efficacy is like, well, we're gonna play, cat and mouse with your fastest fighter jets and see what they do, see how they react to this. And now we have a whole lot of data from 15 years, for 20 years of data of Naval Air Force just catching these things,
can't catch
reporting on it. It's like, there's your information, there's your testing, but they've been doing this for a while, and it's like,
I can tell you now, these pilots don't. I was in the Air Force. I've been on a lot of planes with a lot of different pilots. They're just normal guys. They don't know what's going on.
They wouldn't know.
They wouldn't know.
Like they would do this thing. Go ahead and.
They're the guys that are. I'm relying on, that's my double blind study. I'm relying on you to make that report for the shit that I'm flying around.
Right.
That's
so
what
you're going to look at it and
we've
say,
got a couple of F-22s that are doing some routine.
I'm going to try to shoot it. I can't shoot it. It's gone.
And it's like, go ahead and scramble that Tic Tac thing. They're up there right now.
It can't scramble.
And then all of a sudden they're like, we got a Tic Tac on radar, and they're like, pursue it. And they're like, we fucking can't, So of course the pilots have no idea. They're just doing the thing. And honestly, that's what you want. That's good data. You don't want the pilots to know. You want to know, if these guys encountered this thing and what felt organic to them, would they be able to capture it? Would they be able to shoot it down? Most instances, no, dude. No. So I think, there's probably a lot of that that's actually happening. And the idea that it's always the phenomenon is at the root of it, but you think about people creating incredible inventions and what they attribute it to, it's usually it came to me. It was a download. What were we talking about? The guy who made the movie Weapons. He got that whole idea in a download that came to him. We were talking to Tom Althouse he's the original creator of The Matrix. And when we asked him how it came to him in a download. So these things are using human beings. The idea that one of those human beings wouldn't be a Tony Stark character sat at the top of the most cutting edge, innovative weapons technology corporation or company, who's getting these downloads, who's then creating these things, who's then showing them off to the government and saying, yeah, let's get it cracking.
And it's almost like you're saying with the excavation of Göbekli Tepe is it's the Jewish thing again. It's we're shown this thing, this obvious whatever, their misdeeds, and we're asked to unveil it. Even and now we're allowed, which is why again, like, I've stepped back. But then guys like we like Brian of Demon Erasers, we like all these other guys, they wouldn't mess with us before because we were asking that question before when you weren't allowed to. Now everyone's allowed to ask it, and you have to ask yourself, why are we all pointing? Why are there Netflix documentaries pointing at Göbekli Tepe? Why do we want to uncover this? What is underneath there? And when public consensus gets to a point where we're going to ask for it,
you got to pump the brakes. Dog.
Well, what's underneath?
Yeah.
Well, look up the Golan Heights, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
I don't mean to make you do work, man, like that.
Oh, no, it's fine. Whatever.
The Golan Heights, there's a mount. This is where Mount Hermon, that area that's in. It has Mount Hermonil or something like that, and then there's another volcanic lake that's nearby as well. But so again, that goes back to that idea that these things, somewhere nearby, there's always going to be a volcano. And you could look in Peru where there's like 10 different volcanoes down there, and they have a ton of activity down there. You can look, no matter where you look, if there's a volcano nearby or an extinct volcano, you're going to find that there's underneath Jackson, Mississippi, the Capitol building in Jackson, Mississippi has an active volcano underneath.
Really?
Well,
yeah.
The
Golan
Capitol
Heights,
building?
Yeah.
I think the Golan Heights were just taken back by and celebrated by the government of, and they're also doing like military formations around Mount Hermon with their last military escapade.
Well, that's
whatever
where the NATO
on.
base is on top of Mount Hermon.
That's interesting, though, because if you look at the whole Tartaria thing, everybody maintains like the vast majority of Capitol buildings are old architecture that were actually discovered from a previous civilization. So the idea that this like big, beautiful, complex, domed, it's probably domed building.
The point on top.
Yeah, is sat upon an active volcano.
Yeah.
In the Mississippi, too, and the Mississippi gets really weird because people suspect that the Mississippi is actually the Nile and that there's been some sort of inversion, that America is Egypt. And so, yeah, it just gets more and more and more rich. I mean, given all the obelisk, architecture and sort of like, ancient architecture in general that is all over the U.S., I go, maybe there's something to that. We had Dr. Narco Longo on once upon a time who said and gave a lot of interesting evidence for like, yeah, this was Egypt and that Egyptians were here and everybody was here. And then we were just given this kind of, idea that is Native Americans. They were simple people. We killed them with blankets and now it's ours.
Is that a "Don't Tread on Me" snake?
No, that's actually just a snake that I got tattooed on me for absolutely no reason.
Well, so it's funny that, what did Jesus say? He said, you have permission to trample the snakes.
Yeah.
And what does the flag say? Don't tread on me.
Yep, to tread on scorpions and serpents.
Snakes, yeah.
And then literally the flag says, don't tread on me. And I'm like, I don't know what the hell you guys are up
once
to.
you learn about libertarianism, you understand exactly what that's saying.
This is Luciferianism.
Well, that's what they do, man. Like, again, I was in the military, so it's easy for people, and PJ Williams and I were talking about this, PJ from the Dark Ocean podcast, and he was military as well. And it's like, people think that when you go into the military, you have all these top secret things. And it's like,
dude, you're
I
just
had
a
a secret
a
clearance. Well, everybody who goes in gets a secret clearance because by the very nature of the military, you have a secret clearance.
Sure.
Right? It's like you're going to have access to just basic knowledge of where planes are landing, where they're taking off from, and stuff like that. So everybody gets a secret unless you've done something really bad. But so a lot of times most people think, and a lot of these guys I work with, man, they were like great people. They get out of the military, they go work at the FBI, the CIA. So this goes back to what you were saying. Like, there are good people there. I know some people that I don't know if they actually work there, but I know people who are interested in going to work at the FBI and CIA. So like, I know that if they saw something for a fact, they would be like, this is going down. You got to get your stuff together, Brad, or whatever the case is.
That's cool. It's cool to have those guys. Yeah.
Well, I mean, from when you serve with people, you just create a friendship, a bond. Yeah. So I would hope that if I had access to that kind of stuff, that I would be like telling at least people that were in the military with me, like, hey, dude, get ready for something.
Well, that actually goes back to what Tom Althouse told us about his original intentions for the Matrix. Agent Smith obviously meant to be like a nod to like the CIA, right? Or the FBI, like these federally contracted agents. They're contracted by, basically the Demiurge in the Matrix, but they weren't meant to be. The way he originally wrote it was like they were dudes who were working. They weren't the embodiment of the Demiurge, who was just taking over different avatars, right? Like Agent Smith is just like the main bad guy in a physical form inside the Matrix. That's not what it was supposed to be. They were supposed to be workers who was like, yeah, dude, if they deviate from what they're told to do, they will die. They'll be expelled from the program and they will just die. So it's like they weren't bad guys. They were. So it's like all these people, not all of them. Obviously, you have your nefarious characters, whatever, L. Ron Hubbard being naval intelligence. And a lot of them do have nefarious agendas that are occult in nature. But a lot of them are just dudes working that are sworn to secrecy, that if they deviate from it, not only will they lose their jobs, but they'll be persecuted.
Yeah.
And in extreme situations, they'll be, murdered.
Dude, you can see that in any office environment. The last company I worked for before I started my own company, right after I got out of the military, I went to work for this nonprofit healthcare organization in the town I live in. And there was a lot of crazy things going on. People were stealing things, and I would be like, hey, man, this is going on. I would tell the leadership, and they would ostracize me as if I was the problem. It would be like,
don't rock the boat.
Don't talk about what's going on with this chief stealing this thing or whatever the case is. And then when I had friends that saw it going on too, I would say, hey, won't you come to HR with me? No, I can't do that. I go, why not? Well, I don't want to lose my job. I got health insurance. I got kids. So that's how everybody operates. They're trying to protect their own self. And I think that that's specifically why I don't work for anybody anymore, just because nobody owns me. Like, I can say whatever the hell I want to say. I can come on shows and talk about whatever I want. Maybe I'll end up dead one day. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is like, we look at that, we go like, well, what about this guy? Like, this guy deviated, this guy whistle blew, and like, that guy's dead. And like, we're all like, hell yeah, that guy's awesome, and what a risk to take. But like, that's what the risk entails. You're gonna die, or they're gonna do. I always think back to Phil Schneider, who I bring up on this show constantly. But he had this, experience underground, and he's digging these deep underground military bases. He encounters entities. He gets his ass blown apart by them, still survives, then goes on a tour where he starts trying to, along with other people who have experienced this, blow the whistle. And it is attempt after attempt after attempt made on his life. They drive him off the roads. They shoot holes through his car door, all this crazy crap. By the end of it, he's literally mostly paralyzed in a wheelchair, pissing through a catheter, and commits suicide with that catheter, wraps it around his own neck and hangs himself or strangles himself. So it's like, that's what these people get, so yeah.
What would be the ultimate thing that protect, like, I'm asking, this is a serious question, like, what could they possibly be protecting?
There he is. There's Phil.
What could they possibly be protecting that they will go to great lengths to threaten people or kill people or whatever? And I personally believe that it's literally angels versus demons, like, or good versus bad.
Yeah.
That's what I think it is. And I think that there are people who clearly work with these things for advancements in technology and medicine and all this other stuff in exchange for sacrificial, whatever the blood spilling of kids or whatever the case
is. And I don't even know if it has to necessarily be that. I think that they have a vested interest in us becoming technologically advanced, sufficiently technologically advanced in order to achieve a thing. And you could speculate what that thing is, but when I was harassing those people here in real life at the library, at the Standard Coffee Shop, if you want to come and get harassed in real life, come to the Standard Coffee Shop here in Lady Lake, Florida. But I was saying that the name of the game seems to be whisper in humanity's ear, various technological breakthroughs, but to what ends? And it seems like the end is like to permeate, to create a doorway, to punch a hole through one dimension to another, potentially to bring them in here, or to maybe create an insertable technology in an individual so that they can better possess, like if you had Neuralink and they were within that technology and now it's in your brain.
Right.
Or is it maybe to create a full-blown biomechanical humanoid thing that they can, possess here in this realm? There we go. That's me actually terrorizing people who wanted to leave. But Matt they wanted to leave, dude, and Matt just kept bringing
Tell
more and
them
more
about the
people.
demons, bro.
It was crazy. You should have seen. Like, some of them were showing up mid-conversation, and I was saying things like Operation Paperclip, and they were like, like, it was like they were terrified. They'd never heard it
People
before.
yell at me, dude. People will yell at me.
I yell at people.
They don't want to hear it.
I
They're
go,
like,
the
"Shut
Nazis
up. I
are
don't wanna
alive
hear
and
it."
well.
One of the greatest, my first experiences in this coffee shop, I'm sitting at that big table there, and some lady comes in. She goes, I do content. She's talking to Matt in the front. He goes,
Wait. Lady with the mask?
yeah, he's like, talk to the lobster in the back. And she came with a Zorro mask and a phone in my face and was like, are you this person? I'm going to interview you. And I was like, have a seat. I'm with my kids. I gave her the most schizophrenic shit ever, dude.
She thought she was crazy because she's wearing the mask. By the end of it, she was trembling.
Dude, she was trembling. And I was like, well, so when does that come out? And she's like, I don't know if I could even use that. I'm like,
Yeah, good.
see you later.
You didn't know what you stepped into. But
Dude, my neighbor listens to the show. He just told me the other day he got baptized because of my show.
Nice.
Oh, David's getting baptized.
I'm getting baptized
Sunday.
Sunday,
Awesome,
2
man.
days from now.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you very much.
That's a big deal.
It's exciting. I got to call back the church. They've been calling me.
But shows like this is doing that. We're approaching. It's almost like a church in a different way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well,
we're coming at it in a different way.
It's a heavy thing, right? Because I don't want to claim that, but we're totally blessed because whatever we're doing.
I'd like to claim the tax benefits of a 501c3.
Shout out to all the 501c3s
Shout
out
out.
there. Matt is a huge fan of the 501c3s.
Yeah.
But we get these messages often from people that are saying, like, you helped me get closer to God because of you. I'm doing X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, oh, that's the point. Like, that's the point. That's the main point, dude. The main point is, like, because at the end of the day, like, if we're successful at this, we can make some money. That's all good. But we're going to die here. We're going to leave all this behind. I'd love to be able to stand in front of Christ and be like, dude, I think I brought some homies.
got
Did I
one.
bring some
I got
homies?
at least one or
Did
two.
I bring a couple of homies with us? Like, that is the point. So yeah, I don't know if I would call it a church because I don't think the church would have us in most cases. But
I kind of yelled at a preacher the other day.
Oh,
Well,
no.
he was not really yelled. I was like,
You're
hey,
like,
man.
it's the 33rd parallel. You're not getting it.
I told him, why y'all always asking for money? You know, like that's always the message. Like, I don't ever hear anything about none of the stuff we're talking about demons and fallen angels and all this. Never.
Yeah.
About Nephilim.
Yeah.
I learned about Nephilim from watching shows like y'all's. Before
Honestly,
you know what I mean?
learning
Or
about
Tony.
the Nephilim, from Tony Merkel, great key that made me, it was like, it unlocked so much of my previous understanding of conspiracy. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
this deserves more looking at.
Yeah.
Like, that was huge. So am I alone in that? Or could that same thing help other people understand? But yeah, they're not talking about it. We get some songs. I like the songs.
Respectfully, too. I'd still go to church. But,
I like the songs.
You know.
I get it. They have a roof to maintain. The asphalt
Got to do carpets.
Yeah.
gets a little cracked. The asphalt, if you don't maintain, gets a little cracked.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the deep freezer's dead. Need a new deep freezer.
He just said all the things that our church is fundraising for.
But like, I
Well, they
get
always
it.
go on missions overseas, and it's like we got so many things going on in the United States they could be doing, and I hate when it's just a photo op for these people.
You could
man.
go. You could
You
go
know
on
what I
some
mean?
missions to Miami.
Go
I
right
know
here
a
in
couple of
Florida.
tortas that need God, bro, and
dude.
you could go over there and preach to them. But that's I don't know. We're called to preach it to the and preach the gospel, the good news of Jesus Christ to the corners of the earth, and so I get it. But maybe both, maybe that's what it is. It's like you have this thing, this church is good and it's bad in its ways. And then you have this thing that is good and bad in its ways. I'm sure every time we get an email, God's like, good job, boys. And every time I say retard, God's like, can you stop? So, I mean, we got our good and bad too. But it's a bit of an antiquated system.
It's a responsibility that I didn't even realize I had too, because I was like, it kind of made me realize, like, oh man, when people started emailing me saying nice things like that, I'm like, okay, this is pretty real. I need to get very serious about studying stuff and learning, because I want to say I don't want to say wrong.
See, I never did that. I was like, I'm going to keep just saying bullshit to people.
So like whenever I say this stuff right here, it's like I'm backing it up.
Yeah,
It's
just for
like,
the
it's
audience.
real stuff.
Brad bought a packet, dog,
And some
like
drawings.
a whole ass packet with drawings, which I appreciate very much.
Got to start reading the Bible, stupid.
I know, I just can't read.
You could read.
I got to read out loud, and that's the part
No.
that's been stopping me.
I think you're afraid.
of reading.
No.
The only time I read is when we read Chronicles, and I read it out loud.
I think you're afraid of reading the Bible. I think there's
What's going to happen to me?
So you might shake and a demon fly out of it.
I got dizzy once when I was reading
for
it.
real?
Yeah. I was like doing this, and I was like trying to read it on the show, and I was doing that, and I think it's just from doing that. But the chat disagrees, and they just say I got a head full of demons, and that's why I couldn't read the Bible.
Well, I think we all got demons.
That's for
we've
sure.
let them in at some point.
That's
in
for
some
sure.
way, whether that's porn or smoking cigarettes or
Oh,
vaping
100%.
or whatever the case. I mean, you can have mute demons. You can have depression demons.
all
this other
types of
stuff.
them.
Yeah.
I've been under, I think, some sort of spiritual warfare really recently, and I wonder if it has anything to do with my upcoming baptism. But I've been very mad, easily set off, and like in a really heavy spot. And then, like even last night, I had a dream that my cousin died. And I woke up, and I wasn't like in real life doing it, but before I woke, I forgot all about that. I thought I was in the clear, but I was like sobbing in my dream, like it hurt so bad that my cousin died, it was heavy, man. And I think like the point of that is to get me in a emotional state, like a low state, you know what I mean? So I don't know if it's because I have this upcoming baptism or whatever, but yeah, it's been heavy. So you could have all kinds of different things around you at all kinds of different moments.
But and what does Jesus say? When you clear out the demons, when you, like, I listened to Tony's show one time a long time ago, and I heard a preacher on there say, you can tell the demons to get out. And I paused it and I said, all right, get out, demon. And I felt my body vibrate.
Oh.
Then I said it 2 more times and louder and longer. And the vibration was like, boo, as if something was definitely there trying to get out or whatever the case was. But what Jesus said is, like, if you get the demons out and you get your house in order, make sure you're filling it with the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
Because 7 times more demons will come back.
Yep.
And they will wreak havoc on your life.
That's the important thing.
Yeah.
House in order.
Right. Yeah.
So the demons are one thing, but if you got shit, you got to deal with it. You got to tighten up.
That shit.
Pray down to it.
That's everything. I'm talking to myself too. I'm talking to you, David. Fucking tighten up, because we're playing a dangerous game.
Yeah. Well, you too, Brad. You're playing a dangerous
Yep,
game. It doesn't.
always.
Sometimes you just feel like, oh, I'm just doing a little podcast. I'm just talking about,
It is a dangerous game.
I know. We just saw Charlie Kirk get got, and that looks like when I look at him, I go, dangerous game, stupid game. Same thing with the tortas from Miami.
Tortas.
They're like, oh, you guys just do conspiracies. I was like, we do very serious politics. I was like, that's a dangerous game, and it's a stupid game.
Yeah.
We're playing a very important game.
Yes.
That's also dangerous.
Hey, Jesus is
more
on my
dangerous.
side. As long as he's on my side, man, I'm not scared of anything. Only thing I do worry about is my kids and stuff like that, man. But like, I don't care about myself.
Hey, listen, man. All the disciples
I'm
of
all
Jesus
for it.
Christ got like crucified upside down,
right.
their heads cut off. It's not a joke.
Yeah.
It's not a game. This is the game that we decided to play for money, for fun, for
I don't even know why
views,
I'm doing
clicks,
it.
likes. Exactly. I don't know.
have a
I don't know
clue.
either.
I don't have a clue.
I've been asking myself that a lot lately.
I know. I'm just doing it. I'm like, okay,
Well,
we'll keep doing it.
though, that I don't know if it's you just become aware of the danger. The danger has always existed. It's more dangerous to not engage. Like, there's a war that's constantly happening in the spiritual, and it's happening all around you, and you can go through this never engaging and then falling victim to whichever way this thing pushes you. Or you could realize that it's happening, and when you realize it's happening, then the next logical thing is, well, I got to pick a side then, don't I? And so I don't think it's any more dangerous than things have always been. You've just realized it. You could die 1,000 different ways and never realize that there was spiritual implications that led you down that road. And I don't know if you would realize it when you pass away. I don't know if God would reveal these things to you. But if he did, you would probably come to the conclusion that it was dangerous to never have partaken, to never have chosen a side. And so in that way, you gotta.
When I'm talking to Matt, we're talking about life and things like that, and he's like, man, like, things are gonna play out how they're gonna play out. I am on the side of God. Like, we're on God's team, but it's like there are strong look at the Jews right now. Those guys have fallen and messed up so many times because they are on, well, I mean, like, people are going to get mad, but they are God's people. That's like the territory that God decided to take over. And it's very hard for them. And when they fall away hard, because a lot is expected. So if we're choosing that side, it's not just like, oh yeah, I'm good. I got Jesus, I'm good. It's like, nah, man, this is like, it's even more of a responsibility because there are entities that will be against you, but who cares about that? There's a main guy that you don't want to piss off because you've just made a covenant, like the idea of divorce, that promise, that covenant before God. Forget about the state. When you break that, a lot of bad shit happens, and you're like, why? And it's not because women are stupid. I think it's because there's a promise that's made to God, and when that's broken, that's the boss.
I know
it's heavy shit, dude.
I'm not gonna say any names because we've already had to go back once and remove some stuff because we were like, I don't know if we want heat going towards this person, but we know somebody who was about Jesus and revealed some pretty crazy information about child trafficking and the beginnings of Epstein and all these different things. And then that person shifted, all of a sudden decided they wanted like a music career and then just stopped, shook off all the people that had latched onto them because of the truth that they were saying, because of their convictions for Christ, and then just went like full gay dancer, musician, and like all their content is now about shaking off and, oh, look at all these Christians who want to jump me and everything. It's like, because you were there and you were standing in the truth for a time, and then you decided like the exact opposite is where you want to go, and they're adopting and they're going like I don't know how to explain this. Like you would use hashtags within the gay music community.
Dude,
like
who cares about the Christians judging you at that point? I'm talking to this woman. It's like you look at the story of King Saul. King Saul was blessed by God to lead, and then when he decided to fall away and do his own thing, he sent delusions. The guy went crazy. Yeah, misfortune all the way up until his death. It's not a joke. Yeah. It's not a game, and it's like. It's made me think, I'm like, damn, do I want to do this? I might have been good just chilling and looking at this gay
too late
politics
now
stuff.
You got to do it. You got
too
no
late.
fucking...
Well, yeah, too late. And now we're on it. And now it's like...
But that person that I'm talking about, I'm watching them. They're like spiraling. Like they're losing their mind. Yeah. And it's to the tune of 5 likes and a couple of Yas Queen comments from like some big trans fat black person. I don't know. And it's like all of that for this... And I can watch your psychology. It's diluting. Like you're losing your shit.
It's a story that read the Bible, man. It's in Samuel. It's like it's the story of King Saul. That's it. You've turned your back. You made a heavy promise. And this girl didn't even make that heavy of a promise. It's something light. You're not leading like God's nation.
No,
and
but
that's the consequence.
You stepped up to the plate and you said his name and you said who you were aligned with and you started speaking the truth and then you turned your back on that.
That's heavy stuff. And I'm not trying to, like, with this show, I'm not trying to, like, draw anybody away from God or whatever that is. I'm just saying, hey, that's a heavy promise. There's a lot of great things that come with it.
To whom much is given, much is tested, right?
Yeah,
that's right, like, Spider-Man.
Yeah. No, that's large responsibility gets large something or another. I think it's time to unless you have more that we've been interrupting.
I'm sorry, man. I just had to. I felt like I had to say
no,
that.
It's the Great Commission. That's what we're supposed to be doing. It's just it sucks because I do feel like anytime you get anything in life, man, I think that there's like it has to be a balance in this world. I did the yin and yang, but it wasn't because of Chinese.
No, I saw that and it just sparked that thought.
What it was actually is like yin is female, earth, dark, cold, moon. Yeah, and then yang is male, heaven, heat, and light. That's according to the Chinese. So
heat, huh?
Yeah, heat, light, right. So this is the idea of the good and the bad, the push and the pull, right? And I think that I'm cautious when I get something, when I have an abundance of something, like I have to give it away. Like I have to do something. Again, if God blesses you, it's because He wants you to bless somebody else. So that's my take on it. So if you take things, if you get fame all of a sudden, it's funny, dude, because I went to like an all-black school growing up, and there's a friend of mine who's a rapper named Slim Bubba. Shout out Slim Bubba.
Shout out Slim Bubba, baby.
He told me, he was telling me all about the Illuminati, selling your soul. And I used to laugh at him. I was like, you stupid dude, whatever, you know.
Slim Bubba knew what he was talking about.
He knew what he was talking about, man. And so it was funny because now looking back, it's like you do get that, but you're gonna have to give up something like Kanye. He gave up his mom, or maybe MJ. hopefully that didn't really happen, but
Gave up his
gave
testicles.
up his dad and
His dad.
MJ, his dad too.
Yeah, but he was
Gave up his testicles.
chemically castrated.
So I think that
Michael
Michael Jackson.
Oh, Michael Jordan. He's talking about Michael Jordan.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Did I say Michael Jackson?
No, I
No,
just
no,
jumped.
MJ.
Just different. You
Oh,
said
yeah.
MJ. Yeah. He got no balls, dog. But go on.
No, I just think that when you get too much of something, you got to be careful because I feel like you might owe something for that, right?
Yeah.
Like,
You
have
owe,
to,
that's
like-
who are you gonna owe?
Right.
That's the question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, for
Creator of the
me,
universe or like some lowercase g god?
right. That's what I'm saying. And for me, I try to do whatever I can for uppercase G. Right. So,
I
like,
think in all things, there are blappers and there are guamers. Always be guamming. Always be guamming, guys. Look, before we wrap it up, Brad, let's let everybody know where they can find all your work again.
Yeah, simply theawakenpodcast.com. I actually am building a new website right now, so it's going to be maybe start selling some merch because I got to start making some money to pay the bills. I am making a little bit from advertising, which I get beat up on every single episode now. Like people admit.
Why? Because you're reading ads?
No, I'm not reading. I wish
Oh.
I was reading ads. I would much rather do that.
Oh,
I
because
don't
you
wanna
have
play
ads on your
Yeah,
product.
yeah,
Dude, people get upset about that.
Yeah.
That's a passionate thing of mine. It's
I
like,
get it, man. I totally get it.
No, I
like
don't get
ads.
it because it's like people think that they're entitled to your labor not only for free but uninterrupted.
Yeah.
And that is a silly idea. I think people need to back off
Yeah,
that.
don't they know this
soapbox.
show is filled with interruptions?
filled with interruptions? This is what we do.
I get it, man. I totally get it. I don't want to have ads and dirty up my product either, right? But it's like
Got to get paid for your labor, dog.
Well, I got a lot of software and programs and stuff that I have to pay for. So,
yeah.
I do want to try to find a better way to maybe. I've been reaching out to advertisers and stuff to more align with Christian branded products and things like that. The way I can feel like I'm selling my soul less, I guess.
Well,
whenever I sell
people,
ad space,
what you have
whatever.
to do is you have to get to where people watch this show for the ads. People actually watch our show for the ads. They get mad when there's not enough ads.
Chumba Casino.
And they get mad when we're talking. Shout out Chumba Casino. No, all right, please go on. I'm sorry.
No, but yeah, the awakenpodcast.com. I mean, I'm going to try to do more of a interactive website too, a little bit more, like I said, products and maybe some other stuff, maybe some ebook type stuff. All the stuff I'm talking about today, I'm going to try to hopefully get it into like a nice PDF style pamphlet type of book that maybe people can buy for like $5 or something like that, to help out. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Theawakenpodcast.com. And if you have listened to my show before, thank you for following and liking and sharing and all that other stuff. If you haven't, please hit the follow button on my show and give the show a 5-star review. Those reviews help us skirt the algorithms, and it gets us in front of literally thousands of more people just by giving a review or leaving a comment. So what happens with that, and I don't want to get too preachy with it because I do SEO and stuff like that for a living, but there's this thing called time decay. Time decay. I know.
Time decay.
Time decay. Yeah.
There's a time to gay and a time to straight.
Oh, that's in Ecclesiastes for sure. I read that.
There's a time decay on everything. So if you post a post, and if anybody interacts with, likes it, comments, shares, whatever, then they give you a set of points essentially. Like your listeners will be like they get 150 points for making a comment today. Well, over time, that decays until essentially you don't see that content in their feed anymore. So that's why I said those comments, likes, and shares. It keeps it up at the top of the algorithm because it tells the algorithm, this is what I want to see. Show it to other people, show it to me more and stuff like that. So those are very important.
People don't understand sometimes how much that their interaction, even if it's just a small comment, actually really helps. You put a lot of time and effort into content creation. And that little nudge right there is actually a lot bigger than people think. So yeah, that's useful information, man. Oh, I have to ask in the final question. I almost forgot. Z-Man reminded me. Are you? I don't know if we've had you on since we started asking this question, but this is something that we like. I think we've been forgetting it the last few episodes. We've been asking our guests this in closing. Are you having fun?
With the show? With doing my show?
Everything that you're pursuing, mostly in the pursuits.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I've been down here to Summerfield way too many times.
That's crazy for a place that's 7 hours away from you, dog.
Yeah, I used to be stationed in Tampa, so that's where I met my wife, was in Tampa, so I'm familiar with Florida. So when I come back, it's kind of like I miss it a little bit, but I'm also like I'm glad to be. I have some land.
Well, you're in like the slightly cooler season right now. Try visiting in like July, and you'll probably be like, "Oh, good riddance."
But I am having fun because I found community with guys like y'all. because I don't feel like I'm crazy. My wife don't want to hear this stuff. Dude.
My wife.
She don't want to talk about any of this stuff. I try to have these conversations, but I know it's a lost cause. But I am planting seeds, and she is coming along nicely. I got family members who are very engaged now, and they used to not be. I remember I got into a fight one time with my older brother because I was talking about some of the stuff. And he's like, "Will you just shut the F up, man?"
Yeah.
He's like, "I don't want to hear this." And I was like, but now he's like, "Hey, man, I listen to that. I like that.
Which
What you
parallel
said."
is it?
I got friends calling me. I saw you on TikTok saying something, and I liked it, and all this other stuff. So, like, it's opening up slowly. People seeds are being planted, and they're being sown.
It's fun. These people, you're gonna take me seriously one way or another. So as this show gains like legitimacy and following, I've been experiencing the same thing. People before that would be like, "This guy's an asshole."
Yeah,
we're talking about. Now they're like, "I noticed that there's like quite a few viewers."
I had my ex prison inmate, current Islam member cousin send me a Tic Tac. Good God, a TikTok. What are they called? TikToks of us, and it wasn't even from our page. Like somebody else sent it to him, and it was just, or he just stumbled upon it in the For You page. And he sent it to me, and it was like, he thought it was a big deal. So, yeah, it's like they never think it's a big deal until it comes from somebody else. Like, it comes full circle, It's funny how that works.
I saw you on that show. That was a pretty big show.
Yeah.
Why would he care to talk to you?
I've been saying it to you right here in front of you in the flat. Yeah.
But it's fun for me. My former MTA workers, they have now caught on to whatever the hell I'm doing. And when I quit the MTA to come to Florida, they were like, stupid ass. Like, they were like, "Is you gonna leave this behind?" And this is like, this is as good as it gets. And I was like, you guys are trapped in hell. And now they see the show and they kind of like the stuff. They reach out.
Yeah.
And thousands of people. You go to a church, a mega church on a Sunday, and it's 500 people.
Yeah.
You're reaching thousands of people by talking about
the
message of Christ in a different way, but still getting it across. Right?
I mean, we do it in a straight Bible way too.
We do it in the straight. Shout out to Matt.
We're gonna cover all the bases. By the time this is all said and done, you're gonna have stupid, silly, which is what we do. You're gonna have straight Bible. You're gonna have
Toad's gonna be on for Gay Bible.
Gay Bible. That's it, guys. That's the show.
Christ is King.
Your Christ is King. Thank you for hanging out. Baby. Jeez, guys, we can't have a serious obey, submit, and comply. That was horrible.